Okay, let's get it started again. Hopefully it works this time. So, okay, let's go back to our slides and the topic today. So, democratize data literacy with open source technologies. I think the theme for this today is open sources, and different type of expert will talk about different innovation, application, and challenges when we want to put together open source solution. So I let's first introduce myself. So I'm the former Cyberport Chief Public Mission Officer, and also I work for different pretty large company, HSBC, IBM, Oracle's, and Kingdee. So right now I'm a professor in CU Hong Kong, and also I'm actually participating in different startup, particularly in AI and big data and fintech startup in Asia. I'm either the chairman or the principal advisors. So I also work with Hong Kong Cyberport closely. So I'm part of their committee, the entrepreneurial committee. So we will see each other very often in the startup ecosystem. So definitely I involved in so many different types of startup activities, not just in Hong Kong, but also in China, as well as in Southeast Asia. So I think I'm also open up the user mode of this presentation. I can see some time delay. So you might heard about my voice and the slides might not be synchronized 100%. So excuse us about the technology issue there. But definitely I will try to speak closely so you can catch up. So again, I'm involving in the ecosystem across Hong Kong, China, and also Southeast Asia. I know some of you are actually dialed in from other countries. So welcome to our seminar as well. So today I'm going to take you through three major steps about data literacy, particularly in the environment under the open sources, right? So the first point I'm going to talk about is there's so many successful example in the digital economy right now. So unfortunately, it's not the traditional leaders in the industry. So most of the new leaders, they are actually have something that the traditional companies do not have. So I term it as the secret recipe. So we talk about the secret recipe first, about the successful enterprises in the digital economy these days. So the second point I'm going to talk about is the talent strategy. So we see the leading enterprises and what are their secret recipes, but without talents, it's very difficult to really make it happen. So the second point we talk about is the talent strategy in the digital economy. The last but not least, how do you know a talent is a talent? It sometimes is very subjective and sometimes it's not data driven, right? So what we need to do is to have some sort of certification and qualification. So either the employer side or the employee side, we have a standard for data literacy. So that is what OpenCertHub do. So we will talk about it at the last part of our presentation. Sounds good? All right, let's go ahead to do it. So the first one we're going to talk about will be the secret recipe, right? So the secret recipe of today's enterprises is very different from, say, 5 or 10 years ago, right? So you look at the most successful company right now in the world. Successful meaning that they're the highest value-added companies in the world. So we talk about um, a lot of things. For example, Facebook we use every day, right? So Facebook we use every day. So we have seen they're successful, and they are actually do not have any kind of traditional asset. So they do not have a big factory, for example. So you look at Airbnb, they do not have a hotel. So what they do is they have a new business model. They're riding on the data assets they accumulate and capture in the ecosystem. So they make use of it, and then they actually create new business model. So they make their customer happy, and also they make their customer loyal. At the end of the day, there's a way to monetize those data. So you look at all these successful companies right now. So they are working very hard in terms of building up the ecosystem. The reason behind it is they can capture enough data that we talk about the big data, and we can make a fortune out of those big data. And at the same time, very important to make their customer happy. So you look at this chart, it's a very good chart. So many traditional company I work with right now, so they are looking for digital transformation. So what does digital transformation do, right? So it means that we're making use of technology, but we are not focusing on technology because of technologies. It's because it's giving us a new business model that we can ride on lessly on the asset, the very heavy asset. Right now, all these new business model are relying on very light asset instead of heavy asset. So what is asset? That means you buy something first, right? And then we make use of this kind of thing to make money, right? So if you buy some machine, is say for example $10,000, right? And then you make use of the machine, and then you create some new products. At the end of the day, you sell out your product, and then you make money out of it. So the asset that you invested before, actually you are getting return out of it, right? So that is the old economy. Well, still is important, but it's not good enough to be leader right now in the digital economy. So what we're looking at right now is how we can help. What do we mean by digital transformation? There's many different definitions, right? So one is very important definition is how we can transform a company from an asset heavy model to an asset light model. So we look at all these examples you see on the slides, right? From the king before, the GE, right? They're making equipment and the number one in the whole world. Now you're looking at all these leading company in the digital economy. We're talking about Airbnb, Google, all these companies we talk about relying on data asset rather than the traditional asset. So that's why if you look at the left-hand side, if we have more time, we can talk about it. That's why the platform is so important. Platform is not only a hardware platform we talk about. A platform is getting communities, stakeholders all together. So to make them a very win-win situation, put it this way, so everybody can benefit from it. But the platform owner, they actually capture a lot of data, right? So they make use of this data and then they make a fortune and monetize it. So you look at this chart, I think I like this chart very much because many of us, right? Yeah, I think probably 80% of you are coming from the tech background, right? Usually we start from the blue color. So all this technology from the industry age to information age to digital age, right? Even we are talking about open sources, a lot of tools and technologies. We are actually very much focused, or the starting point is from the technology. So, but I would suggest we start from the top, the upper part of this chart is all these creative business model created from these blue boxes, the technologies. So look at the platform we just talked about. Well, why platform is so powerful? For example, Alibaba, Amazon, is because they are driven by the new technology like big data, AI, all this sort, right? So if you look at these green boxes and you understand the technology well, but it's not good enough. We need to make use of it to create new business model. So by making use of AI and big data to support the business model like platform, then we can become successful company like Google, like Amazon, and things like that. So this is a good chart about the platform we talk about. So why I talk about platform? Platform among all these business model, platform is the most powerful one. If you can make a successful platform, But of course, there's other business model running on technologies that you see every day. Probably you are a startup, you're actually creating a new business model based on the technology that you are familiar with. So those are the area we talk about, right? So this is okay. So, but the platform itself is actually dominate the whole world. But less people understand why the platform is so powerful is because of big data, right? So no matter you talk about the four big guys in China or the five big guys in United States, they are all platforms. So this is a short version of the digital economy, put it this way. When we talk about the transformation, digital transformation, digital strategy, basically we are doing pretty much about that. But the core recipe, the secret recipe is big data. So a lot of people thinking that, okay, maybe I have some data scientists, I can make my company to be successful, just like Dr. Tom talked about, right? But it's not good enough. So in order to make your company as successful as what we just talked about, the asset light leaders in the digital economy, we need every one of us in our company to be what we call data scientists, not data scientists, but citizen data scientists. We will talk about a little bit more. That's why we use the word democratize. Uh, if you we when we talk about data scientists, we'll think about, well, maybe they are PhDs, right? They spend years and years on data science, so they become a data scientist, right? They are absolutely important, but it only have them in a company is not good enough to transform your company to become, the champion or the leaders in the digital economy. So you look at Airbnb, we talked about, right? So they are highly evaluated, they're very successful. One of the secret recipe for them is definitely big data. But what does big data do for Airbnb? That's the most important question. Remember, I talked about the blue boxes and the yellow boxes about the different generation of transformation. So if we're focusing on technology, right? So it's not good enough. And we're focusing on the business model, make our customer happy is that definitely is the starting point, right? So Airbnb actually start from the customer side, right? So when they are small, they talk to different customer, whether hosts or whether they're guests. So they understand their needs, so they do a very good match on that, right? So when they're going bigger and become a global company, they cannot talk to their customers, I mean the hosts and also the guests every day, every second. So they believe that this is important. So, oh, there's a technology called big data and AI. Okay, when we can make use of it and then understand the customer voice every day, every second. So they call it this strategy called data is our customer voice. So when they can make use of big data, so they actually listen to customer every day, every second. So they believe in that. That is their strategy. So they invest in training all the employees about big data and AI. So they democratize this to one point is all only privilege for data scientists. Now they democratize it to all employees. So when all the employees, everyone they need to listen to customer, not just data scientists, right? So if you enable them to be able to use data, big data, okay, effectively, so they can make use of this intelligence to understand their customer. That's what it means. So this example is very important. Why we talk about democratize big data to all employees, to the mass is so important. So this is again back to what I say. Technology is good. Every one of you are good in technology. I'm sure that, but it's more important what you build on the top of it, right? So when we talk about big data is the engine for the digital economy, in fact, it's true because you look at these slides, right? If you can only make use of data to do some report, for example, even some dashboard, we are not fully monetize the data, right? So when we build a platform and every one of our employee or staff or colleagues, they are citizen data scientists, put it this way. So they know how to play around data and find opportunities. then actually we are making use of all this talent to help this company to move forward to become a data-driven company. So rather than only seeing some report and dashboard, this is good, but a more data-driven, a more successful data-driven company, they will make use of the data to monetize it even further. For example, they can create data products to sell to partners and customers. They can attract different third parties. For example, a platform, they can come to the platform and pay money to the platform owner, like advertising, like insurance people. They leverage on the platform, so they will have the make use of this revenue stream to make more money. I mean, the platform owner. But even bigger is the people that are making use of data, monetize it even further. So they create new business model. For example, Alibaba. Now they have the unfinancial. So based on the data they capture in other e-commerce data model platforms, so they accumulate data, so they can cross the border to the financial services, and then they can make a fortune from the financial services area. So in order to do that, it's not happen overnight. So all these employees, not just the data scientists again, so they need to work together. So how they can work together effectively if the most of the staff cannot talk in data? Why I say talk in data? Because we see big data is not a technology. Big data is a language. It's a language for digital economy. So if you want to be successful in the digital economy, everybody in your company need to talk in big data. That means they are sufficient enough and good enough to make use of data for their daily jobs. And they can work closely with the data scientists to make them even better together. So languages, right? I gave you a scenario, right? So if you want to work in the business world, you need to talk in English. You want to make deals with China, right? You need to talk in 普通话, right? There's no brainer, right? Everybody know that. This is the business language. So in the digital economy, right, in order to make it successful, everybody need to talk in data. That's what we call data literacy, right? So open source has a very good platform, I would say that, to enable the what we call the big data democracy, because it's a lot more less costly, put it this way, and all this beauty about open source, so much can happen to the big data world, right? So what we're trying to do is to make use of the open source tools and environment to help every single employee in our company to be data literate, right? So they can talk in big data. So what is data literacy we talk about, right? Data literacy, the definition is, well, this is the oil, the fuel for the fourth industry revolution or the digital economy, right? So just like a fuel, right? If you do not have fuel, you cannot start the engine. You cannot sustain the engine to run. So just like these, every company, they need to have their employee to be data literate. And that's what we're talking about. So they can generate business value, just as what we talk about in this chart, the previous chart about the different stages of data monetization, right? So if you look at this, well, I think I try to make it even more understandable. So we talk about big data is a language, so English, 普通话, this is very important. When you're in Europe, you need to speak a French, just like that. But in the business world, besides languages like English, right? So we also need to have high IQ, high EQ, or high AQ in order to be successful and climb up the ladder and to become a leader in your company, right? So this is the old economy. The new economy, besides you need to have high IQ and high EQ, you also need to have a high DQ. So what do we mean? DQ actually is the data quotient or data literacy. So you are not only can make use of Excel in a simple way, you need to have the capability to analyze big data, right? And then to take out the opportunities, the outliners, the risk, right, the opportunities out from it, and then you work with the data scientists together to build something is valuable to your customers and also to your company itself. So DQ is very important in the digital economy world. So we need everybody to have this competency. So we able to generate values for the company and also for your customer in the digital economy. So it's not just saying from us, but also from LinkedIn. They have done many good research, and also it's a big data company. So they look at all these countries in Asia. So what are the top digital skills that everybody needs in the digital economy? So it's very consistent. You look at all these geographies, everybody is talking about big data, the top priority. So if you are working in this country, in this market, I'm happy for you because there's so many opportunities out there in Asia Pacific. So when we talk about right, when we talk about Airbnb, we're talking about everybody need to be data literate. So they need to be good in terms of data literacy, become a language that they can communicate with their customers and internally with employees, bosses, as well as the data scientists. So that means in a company, will have different types of data expert. One is definitely citizen data scientist, but you also need the people, the data user, the data leader, and the data believers. So these data believers, data leaders, and data users, they are all data talents, non-technical data talents, put it this way. So this is something you need to build up so the company become a data-driven company. Just relying on data scientists is not fair to them because they populate understand the domain knowledge enough. They may not be able to go through all the internal channels, challenges, all these office politics, different agendas. They may not have the people to support them to adopt the solutions, right? On the other hand, if you have a good data scientist, they're already dominate. So as a user or manager, are you good enough to really to challenge whether your recommendation is really suitable for our business, right? For example, there might be some bias built into your algorithm. So you never sell something to certain type of people. For example, race, right? Cannot sell to Asian, cannot sell to black color people. That is bias, right? So we need to talk about it later on. So the talent side, right? So you understand there's different types of data talents in your company in order to make it successful in the digital economy. So it's not just data scientists, right? So this is a example in your company. We should have citizen data scientists, okay? But we also, we should have data scientists, but also very importantly, majority of your company, our company, we need to have citizen data science, just like you and me. So another very important fact is that in the upcoming 10 years, I mean from now till 2030, right? So according to PwC, 30% of the jobs will be replaced, right? And also there will be a lot of opportunities. We need to work together with machines, what we call the human-machine collaboration. So what it means is that if we do not have the language to talk to these guys, for example, your digital colleagues, your robots, you do not have the language to talk with the data scientists. You do not have the capability to analyze data, for example, to visualize what you get from the big data, and then to get approval from your boss to do some marketing campaign, for example. So it's very difficult for you to survive. So likely you will be the 30% that you will be losing your job, not necessarily by 2030, maybe the next few years. So this is another chart. I give you some sense of urgency. That's done by Bloomberg, right? Making use of very nice visualization of data. So you look at the right-hand side, you see all the people, they are in high risk of losing jobs. So if you are doing, for example, salespeople, doing accountants or auditors, right? So you might see that you will be some losing the job very easily. But if you're on the left-hand side, I think it's easier. You can keep your job. But also, there's a myth that if I'm high pay, that means my job is not easily be replaced. That's thinking again. If you look at this Bloomberg analysis, actually, even high paid people, they have a chance to be replaced. So if you pick up the AI big data job, probably it's easier for you to stay in the market and become a very demandable, marketable people in the AI world. So new jobs will be created like trainers, explainers, and sustainers to sustain your algorithm, for example. So the last part I'm just talk about because of time. So hopefully now you understand this secret sauce of the in the digital economy, how you can lead in the digital economy. The second part is the talents gap, right? So we need a lot of big data people and AI people. It's not just the data scientists. It's not just the AI expert. So what we need to do is we need to nurture and cultivate more and more citizen data scientists. Most of the staff in the company need to be citizen data scientists, right? So we talk about these, how we can do that. Of course, there's so many training institutes out there are training more technical bit of the data science. That's still important, but more importantly, we need to get it going is on the user side, how we can train more data talents. So that's our focus on. So if you look at, we just talked about Airbnb already. So let's talk about all other successful companies, not necessarily tech giants, not necessarily unicorns, but even in the traditional companies, if they understand the importance, the urgency of big data talents, they actually make the switch very fast. And then they make big data as their core engine to build a business model on the top of it, right? So there's so many successful cases that we talk about. And then from the tools perspective, right? So many of us now probably know how to play around Excel and even is a power user. But think about many, many years ago, Excel is a new, when they were new, nobody know how to use it. This is something I cannot master, and I would never use these tools because it's so complicated. I rather use Word to just type in things. But you use Microsoft Word, it has its own function, right? But it cannot perform just like Excel. There's so many functions that Excel is so good for analyze things and also put things together, particularly for different types of figures, right? This is a good, very good tool, right? And then we have the BI world. The BI world, we're talking about, for example, Cardinals, business object, now it's the Microsoft Power BI, so on and so forth, and, Tableau, all this kind of thing is good. It make our analysis much easier and make us to see our KPI much clearly every day. But it's still not good enough in the big data world or in the digital economy we talk about world. It's so many different types of structured and unstructured data that we need to analyze it. If we get stuck to have a bottleneck, that means anytime we need to analyze big data, we have to go back to the data scientists. Again, this is a bottleneck. Also, the other side is even data scientists, they are not as good as you because in terms of the business domain and how much you understand the industry and also your customers. So it's very important for users in different levels. Just like when we learn Excel, we learn to make use of the big data tools to not manipulate them, to analyze the data, right? So we can, just like the Excel world, we can things on our own hand, and then we also can make a lot of value for our customers and companies, right? But big data tools, when we talk about big data tools, right, of course you can still buy it from the large vendors, but definitely the open source big data tools right now is much more popular and more powerful, right? So I'm sure that you understand these as you are the open source expert. There's so many big data tools are using open sources to come out from, right? So this is a very busy chart, but you look at the top 10 here. So this is top 10 open source big data tools that everybody is using. Well, you think people are using the proprietary big data tools? Well, this is the old days, the old economy. In the new economy, everybody, IT, non-IT people, they are making use of open source big data tools to really access and analyze data for the technical purpose and also for business purpose. So again, a lot of people are learning these tools, trying to analyze the data, whether you are a non-technical or technical expert, right? But in the world, there's so many training out there. So once you get training on these tools, and then also about data science, it's not the expert level, but the prelim level. Once you learn all these, taking some classes and things like that, how you can prove you are good enough for the company, or how you can know you're good enough for the job that you want to apply. Or from the other side of the coin, if you are an employer, right, you want to hire a data expert. So how you can tell those people, they're showing you they take some classes already. How can you know how good they are? Even they have done some projects, right? So you look at this chart, it's very important to look at we need a standard. We need a standard that people can to refer to, right? So just like accountant, just like engineer, just like doctor, right? You have a certain kind of standard examination, qualification, and the people can both sides can rely on, can trust. So they can know, the people I hire, I know how good they are, and the people they want to take some training, I know that what kind of levels I need to go to in order to have the qualification, and then our dream employers will hire you. So that's why we set up a company, our company OpenCertHub, last year in April. So you look at all these opening ceremony with support from government, from different association, customers, and partners. Charles walk in the morning that you just saw. He was also in our open ceremony to support us. So definitely, we have set up a very strong team. So Andy is the CEO of Hong Kong, and Francois is the CEO for mainland, and we have Daniel as a COO, very experienced big data analyst from Ghana and also from other company, and also we have the CMO Tony. So not only our core team, but we also set up, because we are an examination and qualification company. We set up the standard and we provide examinations and qualification for those people. They want to prove themselves to on in terms of big data and AI, how good they are under the open source environment. So that's why we need a lot of advisors from the industry. So we set up the management advisory board with all these familiar faces. You probably know them: CIO, CEO, chairman, president of professional associations, so on and so forth, across China and also Hong Kong, Southeast Asia. We also set up because we are examination and certification body, so we need to make sure that our quality assurance is up to standard and sustain the standard as well. So we also set up the QA advisory board with the support from all these professors from famous university across Asia Pacific. So again, our mission is to democratize data literacy for everyone in the making use of open source technologies, right? So, so we set up an examination and certification body, our company OpenCertHub. We offer certification, and the qualification we call it CDPOS, Certified Data Professional in Open Source Software. So just like all the other professional association, they define the standards and different levels. So the people in the market, in the industry, they can learn and also then take the examination. If they pass, they will get the certification. right? So in the our framework, put it this way, under the CDPOS, our mission definitely is to democratize data literacy with open source technology to everyone. This is our mission. But in terms of framework, as you know, in the open source, we have different categories, even under the big data world, right? So we have the analytics, database, mobile, new technology, operating system, and programming. So for each one of the 6 categories, we will have different kind of certificates for the people to learn and take the exam and get those certification, right? So say, for example, analytics. So we have a series of certifications and the people can take it and then they get the qualification. Similarly for database, for mobile and new technology operating system, for and so forth. So I'll give you an example for analytics category. So for analytic categories, we talk about, so we have the user stream and also the IT stream, right? Is all we talk about is a role base. It's not only take 1 or 2 examination and then you call yourself is a citizen data scientist. What we mean is a citizen data scientist, a data citizen, and also advanced citizen data scientist. We create 3 roles for the user stream under the analytics category, right? And then you take the training courses from our partners, and then you come to take our examinations, right? If you pass all these modules, different modules, right? And then you will be qualified to get this role. And then you become a role-based, for example, data scientist, data citizen, citizen data scientist, and advanced citizen data scientist. So we also have the IT stream. This is more technical in terms of the analytics category. So we work in a similar fashion, right? For each category, we will have the role-based certification. And under the role-based certification, we have the user side and the IT side, and also the tool side, right? So this is a very good framework. We go back here. This is a very good framework, and then people can keep upscale their knowledge and also the qualification by certification and also by role. So, for example, as I said, like Airbnb cases, I think the priority, the urgency is not only the technical side, but also for the user side. So you look at we talk about in the analytics category. So we have, for the user side, we have the 3 roles, right? Data science, data citizen, citizen data scientist, and advanced citizen data scientist. So for each one of them, right, each roles, you need to take some modules differently. So the basic one is you can become a data citizen after you take the first modules. I mean, take those 2 examinations, right? And then you will get the role of data citizen. Similarly, if you want to be an advanced citizen data scientist, then you need to take those 4 papers. So no matter what exam or certification you want to get from our platform is all we're making use of the latest technology to do it. You can use a blockchain to keep track of all your qualification and certification. We use facial recognition to do authentication. So only the people they sit for the examination will be the one they are actually the one. Otherwise, will be some problem there, right? So facial recognition, blockchain solution. We also use analytics to understand the people learning and also when they're taking examination. And then we will fine tune our questions and fine tune our training, our recommendation to our training institute partners. So you get the certification if you pass all these papers, and these papers will be signed by myself and also by the godfather of big data in Greater China, Mr. Uh, Herbert Che Gong. And then we have already started since April last year. So we got a very high adoption in Hong Kong, as you see from the OGCIO, from accounting, professional, and also from GS1 and all these Hong Kong PC, so on and so forth. So we are very grateful that the adoption is very high and will continue to do so to help Hong Kong people to become citizen data scientists. So our enterprises will be much more competitive in the digital economy. And this is some partners in Hong Kong and also Macau, as you see, 20 household names, and many of them are in the big data area, in AI area, and universities, and also training partners and corporates. In China, also, we got a very good momentum. We already got an award last year, one of the top 50 big data companies in China. And also we work with partners, similarly training institutes, universities, human resources, talents, and also corporate enterprises, and all these kind of partners together. And similarly in Southeast Asia, we work with Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, and Vietnam in terms of adopting our standards and our examinations, certification, and qualification to nurture more AI and big data talents, no matter they are technical or business users. I think time is running out. I think hopefully I can give you a very good concept about two things. The first thing is the secret sauce, the secret recipe for companies, successful company in digital economy is very different from the old economy. We are in the right business because we are all working on open sources and big data. So you look at all these leaders in the digital economy, all of them are making use of the light asset. This is data, and make a whole lot of money out of it. More importantly, they make their customer much happier. So that's one point. The second point is, if this is the way to go, do we have enough talents to do it? The answer is no, because we do not have enough data scientists. More importantly, most of the employees and staff in our company, they do not talk the data language. They do not have a good, what we call the data literacy. So this very important to make sure that to democratize this data literacy to all the people in our company. So we will be as successful as, for example, Airbnb. Data is our customer voice. The last one we make is we need to have a standard. So the people want to be a data scientist or citizen data science, they can take some classes, learn something. How do you make sure that you learn the right thing and you become as good as you want to be? If you're an employer, okay, enterprises, how you can make sure that you get the right people with all this kind of data literacy, how you can train up your staff to become data literate. So it's very important you have a standard. So that's why we have a company. We started the company OpenCertHub last year in order to do that, right? So we have a set of qualifications and certifications so you can take, and then you're running on a platform, blockchain it, and also use a lot of big data analytics to improve. And also we also make use of the AI, facial recognition, to make sure we do a good job for the authentication. So those are the things that I would just talk about, the key takeaway. And hopefully you understand that and make use of your open sources technologies and your knowledge. Help yourself to get the qualification and help your clients, help your employees and colleagues to get the qualification. So we will actually help together to grow the open source world together in Asia. Okay, thank you so much. I'll see whether you have any questions or I will pass it back to the organizer. Thank you.